Good morning or good afternoon, whatever time you're watching this, right? I am Kelly with Transitional Leadership, and today we're going to talk about working with difficult people. So, as always, this is the channel where we talk about leading in your career and leading in all aspects of your life. If you learn anything today or from any of these videos, I would really encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Head over to kellyhearn.com to learn more of how we can work together or how you can gain more knowledge and skills from all of my different resources. But today, again, we are talking about working with difficult people. So this week in the blog, we were talking about connecting with your boss and building a relationship with your boss, even if they're difficult. But if you did get through the full blog, you learned that in the end, spoiler alert if you haven't read it yet, in the end, I tell you that really you're the leader in this situation, regardless of what your title is, regardless of the hierarchy that you are coming to the relationship with. You are the leader yourself. And what do I mean by that? I mean that if you are the one who's taking initiative to build this relationship, you are taking lead. And so I don't want you to get caught up in whose responsibility it is and who should be doing what and, taking action or initiating conversation or trying to build the relationship. You can have opinions on it. I certainly have opinions on it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If you would like to build a more productive relationship with literally anyone, especially if they're a difficult person to work with, you are the leader. And so I want to talk a little bit more about what it looks like to lead well in those situations. So the first step is getting the other person to open up. Now, notice I didn't say you open up to them. You can try that, certainly a tactic. You could find all sorts of resources online that will tell you that you should open up first as a means of making the other person comfortable. There are certainly ways to do that, but it gets tricky because A, you maybe don't want to share a lot about yourself, especially if it's a person that you don't have a strong relationship with already. And B, it might not build the relationship the way you think it will unless you do it the right way. So, an easier approach and what can be more comfortable because it gives you more of the power and more of the control is getting the other person to open up to you. So, what can that look like? That can look like, and often does look like, just asking questions, learning more about the person. It is unbelievable how much people like to talk about themselves. They like to share what's going on, what they think, what they know, what they see. Toby Keith reference, I guess, but they want to talk about themselves all the time. And so you get the opportunity to give them center stage and learn what you want to know about them. Now, if we're talking career, if we're talking work, you probably are most interested in their work capabilities and their work style and all of that. So you can ask really basic questions like, tell me about what your best day at work looks like. You can ask what type of things they're working on now. I would actually save that one for a little later in the conversation, but you could ask it right off the bat. You can ask about what their background is in, what they went to school for, how they're using their education now if they're further along in their career. There are all sorts of different options that you can ask them about work. Think of it as a really conversational interview that it's okay if you don't get to the nitty gritty, right? We don't necessarily need to know how many years of experience they have in a specific program, but we do want to understand if they enjoy a program that they took, if they had some really great development that they got something out of, or if they took on some sort of development that was really hard or not fruitful? All of those questions will give them an opportunity to talk about themselves and give you some really valuable insight into what they're doing, what their style is, and what they would potentially be looking for from you. So let's take one of those examples really quick. If you asked your manager or a colleague or someone that you're working with, what's the last book that you read? What was something really good that you took away from it? And their response is, ugh, I hate reading. It takes forever, but I do listen to podcasts and I learned this and this and this. You just got a gold mine of information. Someone who hates reading probably doesn't want your 3 scroll emails, right? Someone who prefers learning from podcasts, regardless of what their answer was that they just learned about, would probably prefer it if you called them or if you walked into their office, if you're in a, in-person setting. And they like that verbal way of learning things. Totally valuable information that you can take to leverage and make your life easier and make their lives easier. Now, the content that they told you they learned, that's probably pretty helpful too. Because if they say, well, I learned how to forage for things that are edible out in the wild. Well, that's really interesting, not work related, but it tells you that they really like the more natural side of life and that those are things that they're taking an interest in, which can give you all sorts of examples and references, whether you're really into the outdoors or not. On the flip side, if they say that they learned about a really technical skill, that can be a segue to, oh, how do you see yourself using change management or coding or whatever the skill was? How do you see yourself using that in the coming months or maybe years? All of those things are going to be incredibly valuable to you. So starting the conversation and just learning more about the other person is, again, going to make them feel really valued and heard and make you more knowledgeable about what makes them tick and how you can work with them best. Now, we already kind of took a step toward this, but the next step as you're walking through is to connect with them. So once you've gotten them to open up, then you need them to be able to connect with you. So you're going to connect with them based on what they said. So again, that can be really overt things like they think coding's super important and they just took a class or read a book or listened to a podcast, whatever the development was, because they know a project's coming down the line. Maybe that's something you're interested in. Maybe that's something that you want to learn more about. And you say, oh, can I also get, the name of that podcast, or could I also get a copy of that book? Where did you get that from? So that you're able to connect on a similar topic. Now, conversely, I've also seen it work really well when someone is focused in a specific area that you have zero interest in. You're able to connect almost on the converse side, right? So if the person I'm working with says, oh, I just took this unbelievable course on coding and I'm really getting into all of these IT tactics, that is not a language I speak, and that's not a language I plan to speak. So a way to connect with them on that might be to laugh about the fact that that's not something I'm going to do and follow it up with, what can I take off of your plate to help free up some time for that? Or what sort of projects will go along with that IT thing that maybe isn't in my bailiwick? Are there change management things that I could support? Is there a communication plan that you might need help with? Are there maybe business requirements that we're going to have to work through to be able to code this thing appropriately? All really great examples of how you can connect with someone about work. Remember, we're not really going personal here because you may not want to. If this isn't someone that you're particularly buddy-buddy with, you might not want to connect on a personal level, and that's fine. But you're connecting with them either by commonalities or by complementaries, I guess I'll call it. So if they're really interested in one side and you have no interest, but you can support on another side or learn more about on another side, those are all great things, right? So we're going to help them to open up specifically about work. And if you want to learn about opening up on the personal side, that is something that I'm sure there's a million other resources out there that can help you with. And then connecting on the business side as well. So maybe this isn't business, maybe you're leading in another capacity of life, maybe you're volunteering, maybe you're working in some sort of nonprofit organization or something like that. You can do the same thing. And I hope you're kind of drawing those ties here, right? So we're helping people open up about what can benefit the greater whole. And then we're helping you to connect with them on those same topics. And then again, it bleeds really nicely into that next level of offering to help. So we help them open up, we connected with them, and now we're offering to help. So that part can feel like pulling teeth, and I've been there. There's been people that I have worked with that I would just as soon have them quit so that I'm able to work with somebody else. But when you start to help them, you can really do a lot of miraculous things, not the least of which is influencing them in the right direction. I'm all about bringing everyone up with the tide. And so if you are in a position where you can help someone, you can also influence them to impact their behaviors. So let's continue on with our coding example. And as you can see, I can only use the word coding and no more technical terms because IT truly is not my strong suit. So if this other person that I'm really not interested in working with, but I want to develop a better relationship with them so that we have a better working relationship, they're learning more about coding. They're really interested in coding. I say, cool, not my jam, but I'm glad you're into that. I can help out on these other topics that might be complementary to the project that you're working on. How can we work together? Can I help ghostwrite some of your emails for you, Tammy? Or can I put together a communication plan that would support people adopting the program that you're coding over here? Because oftentimes what can happen is there's a reason you guys don't get along, right? And if your strong suits are in things like communication, the reason you don't get along might be because that's not a particular strength of that person's. If you can use your skills to help build them up in those areas, everybody rises, right? And that person, most of the time, will notice, and so will people around them. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten emails or text messages or just notes in general of, I see what you're doing there to help Tammy over here, and that's really appreciated. We can see the difference. People will notice. It won't be just giving away the credit for your work. And even if it is, you're developing and growing for your next opportunity in that moment anyways. So I want you to think through those three things, right? You're going to help someone open up, connect with them, and then help them in working towards your goals and influencing them. All right. That is it. I hope that that was helpful and valuable for you. If you have specific questions around verbiage and scripting and all of that, reach out. I'm more than happy to help. I can only give so many examples in these videos, but I am absolutely happy to support you in whatever you need in working with difficult people. And again, if you learned anything from this video or any of my videos, please like, share, subscribe. Learn more, go over to the blog, and there is plenty more information over there. I will link to the corresponding blog article to help you in this, and we will talk later, friends. Have a great day.